Hello everyone, this is Vicky McClifty from AM Healing My Soul TV, and today I'm speaking with Karen Chaston, who is the Chief Creative Officer and author, speaker, and lives in Sydney. Hey, how are you going,
Hi
Karen?
Vicky, thank you for having me. I'm so excited chatting with you.
Yeah,
Even though we've chatted a bit, it's so good.
We've got so many things in common to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Karen, would you like to share your grief story with everyone?
Yeah, sure. So nearly 6 years ago now, in July it'll be 6 years. At the time, I was a chief financial officer of a publicly listed company, which is, I was an accountant and working too much, eating too much, drinking too much. And then on a Sunday morning, the 10th of July, 2011, my husband and I woke up thinking we were going to have a lazy day. And I started cooking breakfast. It was probably about 8:45. And my husband went downstairs just to put the garbage out, and he yelled out and he went, "Bloody hell, Daniel's passed out at the back door." And I thought, oh, that's unusual. Sure, he drinks too much at times, but he always makes it home and he always makes it into his bed. So I just sort of ran down the stairs, and I don't even think I even touched the stairs. And unfortunately, we called the ambulance when we couldn't wake him up, and they were there really quickly, just looked at him. They just literally walked in and then looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, he's gone." And I went, no, you haven't even looked at him. And he said, "Yes, we have looked at him. He's at the back of his, I guess it's the back of his kidneys, had already started to pool and all this sort of stuff." He said he's been gone for a couple of hours, which wasn't good. And, he was 27 years old, and it took us a while to actually figure out what had actually happened to him. And yes, he'd gone out and he's drunk too much, and for some reason he took morphine, but what actually killed him was his lungs. Now, at the autopsy the next day, they said that if he had smoked full on for, 10, 15 years, which he didn't, he was a social smoker. Yep. They said he couldn't have done quarter of the damage. And his lungs were, 2 years previously, he'd been in Scotland, he had pneumonia. And what I found out through a whole lot of different, ways was he'd come home, fell over, went to catch his breath, and he couldn't. And that's how he passed.
Wow.
Which wasn't good,
tricky.
But yeah.
Yeah. I suppose for you, that would have been like a turning point in your life when you look back, or was it
No, it took me a little while. That was meant to be my wake-up call. Yeah. But literally after his funeral, I went straight back to work, eating more, drinking more, working even more. And then about 15 months later, the universe went, "Well, you didn't wake up then, so here's your second slap," and I was made redundant. Best thing that ever happened. That's when I woke up, and that's when I got onto the life that I'm now leading and loving. But I like to say I was so far into my masculine, so far into my ego, so far into, buying into the myth that the only way to get ahead in life is to work really, really hard at your professional life. And then when you get there, that's when you can enjoy the rest of your life. Yeah. That's not the way you live your life. And that's what I teach everyone now, and especially women, is you have 9 areas of your life, and then you brace all of your 9 areas all at once. So that, I like to say, don't be the person who climbs the corporate ladder to find out that A, you may be on the wrong ladder, or you have lost all your relationships, especially the one with yourself, you're unhealthy, you're horrible, and you're just like sort of going, "Sure, I have a lot of wealth, but that's all I have." You don't want to be that person.
No.
You want to embrace every single moment and just, literally just love who you are, make a difference, give back. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So when you actually were made redundant, did you go through any sort of grief at that stage that you, like, because often when you go back, like when you're going through grief and you're forced back into work really quickly and you're busy and everything like that, it doesn't really give you time to process what's actually happened in your life.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I think that was the point where I actually went, do you know what? I know I'm not going to be an accountant. Now, if Dan hadn't have passed away and I had been redundant, I would have been definitely grieving for that role.
Yeah.
I would have been angry. And I know everyone is irreplaceable, but we don't think we are.
Yeah.
Like, we honestly think this company could not survive without me. I am, and like, even to the point, and I think it was, I can't remember if it was the Christmas before or the Christmas before Dan passed, I got this amazing email from the CEO telling me how great I was, how I was like the center of the company, the oracle, he called it, the oracle of the company, and I set the standards on how to work and all these sort of things, which at the time I thought, this is true, but I was so wrong, because, I can remember it was probably only about a month before Dan passed away, and the company I worked for, it was a pub group, and we were financially strapped. And we were trying to get, investors to come in to help us out and all this sort of stuff. So I can remember working one Saturday afternoon from home. I was on a conference call with lawyers and all bankers and all these people. And Dan and his girlfriend and Andrew, my husband, they sort of said, we're just going down the pub. Do you want to come? I said, yeah, I'll join you there. I should only be an hour. Well, they arrived back 4 hours later and I was still on the phone. And, things like that, when you look back, you sort of go, wow, I missed out on that opportunity.
Yeah. And do you think too that, like, is your life divided now as to before Dan and then since Dan's passed?
Yeah. Like, you could sort of go, instead of, or after Dan. AD.
Yeah.
We live in AD.
Before,
so after Dan. After Dan became a spirit. Sort of thing. But yeah, look, and I am so different. I am, not only am I different within myself, I'm so much more positive. I'm so much more aware, conscious. I even look younger now than what I did, just recently I did a post on LinkedIn, and I've just had my passport renewed, and I literally had my 2007 passport and my 2017 passport, and I look younger than I did in that other one because I was over adrenalized. My whole body, I was heavier. I just looked diseased, but more importantly, if you actually go on and look at the post, my eyes are so disconnected in 2007. And we all know the eyes are the window to the soul, but I was literally disconnected to who I was. Yeah. I would walk past a window and just catch a glimpse of myself and I would cringe. Now, how is that good for your body? If you cringe at how you look. Yeah. Like, that's so bad.
And how many women are like that? I mean, my life was like that before Adam passed.
Yes.
And I just was running on automatic. And I can remember doing a counselling course and the counsellor asking me, how was I feeling today? What were my emotions? And it was like, emotions? I don't have any emotions.
Yes.
Denial.
And it's ridiculous. It was like, but if anyone had ever said to me, how do you cope with stress? I would have gone, I never get stressed.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. Just looking at my body, you could go, you are stressed, you're full of adrenaline, which means you're full of cortisol, which means you're full of acid. Nothing can survive in acid. And my whole body was acidic. And just recently I heard, and it was I don't know if anyone has heard of FMTV, which is Food Matters TV. Do yourself a favor, just sign up to it. There's these amazing videos, these amazing programs, amazing recipes. And in one of the videos, they actually said that if you are always angry, like seeing red, and that's who I was, you haven't got enough green in your life. And when I heard that, I thought back to who I used to be, and I thought, oh my God, that was me. Yeah. I was always angry. I would fly off the handle at nothing. I can remember reading an email from one of our managers, and I fired back how dare you speak to me like that? Right? Then she rang me and she said, Karen, you've misinterpreted my email. I would never, ever disrespect you. And I reread it and I went, holy hell. Like, holy hell. There is nothing in what I originally read in that email.
Yeah.
That's because I was full of acid. So I didn't have enough greens in your life. So if you're that person, actually go and start green juicing. Every morning I have this, like, it's 2 glasses of green juice. And not only does it energize you all day, you just feel when you're drinking it, you're going, my cells are happy dancing because they know how much better you're going to feel. You are so much more positive and you really, nothing worries you. You start to actually get to the, and look, after you lose a child, you put things into perspective.
I think you do, don't you? And you realise that, man, well, for one thing, if you can survive the death of a child, you can survive anything. Other than your own death, I suppose.
Yeah. And you know what? And I hope this comes across properly. Not only, and you and I, we've spoken a fair bit, and I'm pretty sure that I can say that both of us feel like we haven't survived a death of a child. We've actually thrived from it.
Definitely.
Because we've looked for the lesson. I just got the shivers when I said that, so I know that was right. Yeah. And I just know that's like the universal tick. We've actually chosen to go, well, okay, there's a lesson here. And we've looked at it and our language tells us how to live.
Yeah.
Lesson, the sooner you get the lesson, it's less on you.
That's right.
How amazing is that?
That is so cool. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you actually go, and then you start to look at everything that comes at you. Not from poor me, poor me, poor me. Why is all this tragedy coming into my life? You're going, okay, what's the lesson? What am I meant to learn? How am I meant to grow? And you move through things a lot quicker when you have that attitude to what comes at you.
Yeah, and you lose that fear, don't you? You lose that fear of just stepping out and doing it because you know that your time is really, life is so fragile, and if you don't step out and make the most of the time that you've got, it'll just go. And you just...
It does go. Well, just look how quickly. We're in June already.
I know.
Like, it was 5 minutes ago, it was New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
It just literally, like, it goes and goes. It's an information age, but it goes so quickly, which is a shame because, and it's all about learning how to slow time down. And we can do that.
Yeah. Have you got, I know in your book you talk about, well, I was going to get to the spiritual side, which I will get to, but also techniques of slowing someone down, like meditation, I think, and just sitting there in nature is something that I try and do every day.
Yes.
To start the day for myself, because if I don't get that chance, then I'm reacting rather than being, proactive during the day. Yeah.
And you're reacting to other people's agenda, not to what's best for you.
That's right.
And that's right. Whereas if you do start your day, and I have a morning ritual where I do spend the first hour on myself, and I get up early to do it. Like this morning, I had a breakfast meeting. It started at 7. I got up at 5. And it's only a 15-minute drive away, but I got up at 5 to get dressed, to do my morning ritual so that I've still honoured myself. And it's so important. And we don't do that.
It is.
We always just go, oh, I'm too busy. I got to go to work. And it's go, no, you can get up an hour earlier.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Yeah, that's right.
Not doing yourself.
I love what you say in your book too, with going back to the grieving, is there is no right or wrong way to grieve. Like, people that are stuck in grief can feel that other people are getting through their grief a lot quicker than what they are. But everyone's individual as to how they grieve.
Everyone grieves differently. And I think the next sentence is, my husband and I grieved completely differently.
Yeah.
And we we understood each other's grief. But even within us finding out that Dan was had passed, because obviously the police came and everything else came. And we were upstairs and my husband just sat on the couch. And I started ringing everyone, because I had 2 sons, like Dan's twin brother and his older brother, living in Queensland at the time. and we were in Sydney. So I rang them straight away. And Andrew's like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm ringing people. And he goes, can't we just sit here and just digest this? And I said, you can sit there and digest it. That's fine. I need to tell people. I need that, you know. And he just went, I don't get it. And I said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
A lot of marriages do break down. I think the percentage is like 90%. It's crazy of marriages that actually break down when there is a loss of a
I
child.
know.
Yeah.
I have had so many people say to us, you know, like nearly 6 years on, I can't believe the two of you have stayed together. And I'm like, but why? Neither of us were involved in his passing. I can totally understand, like, actually when the twins were really young, I think the twins were like 3. Dan's twin brother, Josh, nearly drowned. Now, if Josh had drowned and it was my fault, and it was, that may have broken our marriage down because the guilt would have broken it down. Yeah. So I can understand why some marriages do break down. But, you know, with Dan's passing, you know, 20 you know, when he was 27, it had nothing to do with us.
No, I think it's probably a lack of connection with the parents where they're stuck in their own grief and they don't have that positive view that you and I have both, you know, found since, and then they can't talk to each other. Their own, that's probably how it breaks down because the communication just doesn't.
Yes, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yes,
and I think you need to respect your the other person. You need to respect because they're going to go through their own stuff. And I mean, you had other children as well, and it's watching your kids with their grief as well.
Yeah, and they've all grieved differently as well. Yeah. And it's quite interesting because when I say to people, you know, people will say, you know, how many kids do you have? And I go 3, 1 in spirit, and they go, oh, and then I'll say, you know, oh, you know. And who are your other twins? I said, well, Dan had a twin. They, oh, how's he? And I said, he's fine, and so is his older brother. They seem to think that twins would be different. Like, sure, they were connected, but they were like sort of, you know, no more connected than the other brother, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And do you
it's interesting
find that it's been a gift for your children as well with his passing?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I'll have to ask them. I don't think they'll see it as a gift. I know Ben, his older brother, has said to me, I still get angry at Dan for passing. But that's his choice.
Yeah. I think mine have looked at life differently. I mean, it's been tough for the 4. And they're all at different ages, obviously, but a lot of them are travel. I think traveling really helps because it's sort of they get time out to actually live their lives. I think and it's the same with us. If you take that time and you sit and think about life and I mean, you know, nowadays I just go for it and I think, no, I'm just going to just go for whatever it is that I want to go because I feel like in spirit that I'm being guided. And I know you mentioned in your book.
I've you know, I have literally written 3 books, created my gratitude journals, written ebooks, and I take no credit for any of them. I'm just the you know, the muse that sort of is there, and it just all just is channeled, and I just I love it.